Hey, it's Tara, your yoga bestie, and we have our final class of the 7th Chakra series today, so I'm super excited about that. No props needed unless you want them, because, I'm a pretty big fan of blocks. But let's go ahead and start out at a reclined position today. So we'll come onto our backs in any comfortable space, just allowing our arms and legs to go wherever is most comfortable as we bring our shoulder blades in towards one another, allowing the heart to lift. And we'll close our eyes as we start to check in with our breath. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Our Ujjayi breath is an audible breath. You're going to hear a snoring-like sound in the back of the throat, kind of like we're fogging up a mirror with our nose. And we'll create a rhythm where we inhale to the count of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Exhaling the same, or just kind of finding a rhythm that feels good in your practice, because we know that will fluctuate throughout the practice anyway. And while you're tuning into your breath, we're talking about the 7th chakra, our crown chakra, which is associated with the color white or violet. It's also associated with things like divine connection and unity and authenticity, consciousness, self-realization. And this chakra reminds us that authenticity is the highest form of alignment. So when you're into your highest self, you're not leaving behind the human, you're just embracing it. So our highest self doesn't mean we're not a human being. Human things happen. Oftentimes you can think to yourself, oh, what a human moment. And instead of worrying about being higher than that human moment, we embrace those human moments. The affirmation that I have for you that goes along with our 7th chakra this week is, I am my highest, most authentic self. So there's a difference between being your most authentic self and your highest, most authentic self. And what that means is, what's the version that you want to bring out to the world all the time? That's your highest version. And that's not necessarily an easy ask, but it's also not asking you to be a people pleaser. It's not asking you to look for approval instead of your authenticity. So that's it. I am my highest, most authentic self. On your next inhale, let's get a nice full body stretch. We'll extend the arms up overhead. We can extend our legs out in front of us. Any other movement that feels good at this time, maybe moving the head from side to side, maybe making some rotations, the wrists and the ankles, just saying hello to your body. And then we'll bring our hands together at our heart center, our Anjali Mudra, as we set our intention for our practice, which might be our affirmation of, I am my highest, most authentic self, or maybe something else comes to mind that speaks to you in this moment. Please honor that. Let's take another big breath in here. Exhale, let it go. Yeah, and then when you're ready, start to bring your knees into your chest, giving them a nice big hug, maybe rocking along the spine, maybe placing your hands onto those knees, making little circles as you go in one direction and the other. Just kind of bringing in the breath with that movement. And then we're going to create a figure 4 shape with the legs. So right ankle is going to meet the left knee. And we might just gently press the inside of that knee. That might be plenty for this hip opener. Or you might have enough space to lift up that foot, interlacing the fingers underneath the knee or across the shin. An alternative to that might be to place a prop underneath that foot, which brings the floor up a little bit higher, so it's a little bit more intense, but not as intense as this bind might be. You'll know if you're in the right place because your head is touching the mat. So another alternative might be to actually bring the block underneath your head instead of your foot, if that's preferred. Take a full breath in. Exhale, release that. So we'll bring the sole of the foot onto the mat. We're going to bring that right arm underneath the left arm, so creating Garuda arms or eagle arms. So that might look like reaching for opposite shoulders, or if there's more space, you can bring the arms to where they wrap around each other and maybe reach those arms up overhead, breathing into the upper back and shoulders. Full breath in. Exhale. And then we're going to bring our elbows and our legs together for a crunch. As we inhale, we extend and hover. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, extend. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more of these. And then we'll release for a spinal twist, letting the arms come out to the sides, letting the legs fall over towards the left. You can keep that knee going up towards the ceiling, or you can allow it to rest on top of your other leg as you allow your body to surrender into the mat here. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll just switch out sides. So left ankle will meet the right knee. Find your version, and it may be different from one side to the next. So just listen to what each side needs. Big breath in. And then as we exhale, release that foot down. Left arm is going to come underneath the right arm this time for those eagle arms. And either reaching for opposite shoulders, or if you wrap the arms around, you might have space to bring them up overhead, really creating more space in the upper back and shoulders. Turning on that breath, feeling that rib cage expand as you inhale, feeling it, the belly button draw in towards the spine as you exhale. Inhaling here. Exhale, we'll bring it to that crunch. Inhale, we extend. Exhale to center. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more of these. Last one, and then we'll find that twist, bringing the legs over towards the right this time as we tee out the arms and allow the body just to release into the floor and into the mat. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll bring our gaze, our legs to center as we rock it up to a tabletop position. And as we make our way to tabletop, we're just going to push back into child's pose, where we'll start our warm up and one of our main sequences for today. So you might just wiggle a little bit into this space, opening up into the body. Big breath in. Exhale. And then lift up to where you're kneeling. We're going to bring the hands behind the head, interlacing the fingers as we open up through the chest. Exhale, bring those elbows in together as we close. We'll just kind of find that rhythm of opening and closing here. Next time we open, hold, gaze is lifted. And then as we exhale, gaze straight ahead. Step your right foot forward. We're coming right into our runner's lunge. So if you like to have your blocks, go ahead and have them nearby. And what I mean by nearby is to each side of that foot. As we shift forward and back from our runners to our pyramid-like pose, just opening up into this right side. Next time we shift it forward, let's move into our figure 4 chair. So we're bringing that left ankle above the right knee, which we just did on our backs. Can reach those arms out in front of us, maybe have the hands to heart center. Maybe you're resting the arms onto the leg, or find some blocks to help you, or you might reach for the floor itself. Really sitting back into your right heel, so you're breathing space to that outer hip. Inhale. And then as we exhale, step it back for reverse warrior. So we'll inhale, reaching that right arm up, keeping that forward knee nice and bent, but super straight back leg. Big breath in. Exhale. We'll bring our hands together as we lift up the back heel, coming into a twisted crescent. So taking that elbow to the outside of the knee. You can always lower that back knee down if that makes it more accessible today. And working those shoulders down, maybe gazing past the right. Big breath in. On our exhale, release the arms. So left hand is down, right arm could come up. And we're going right into our wild thing. So bring that right foot behind as you come on the ball of the foot, lifting up through the hips. Maybe finding some movement here if that feels good. Inhale, we reach. Exhale, lower the right forearm down. So you're coming into a forearm side plank. Left arm reaches up. You can always lower this knee down and lift up through the leg at the same time, just like your regular supported side plank. And then we'll bring that left forearm down. So we're in forearm plank, but we're walking it up to our dolphin pose. So pushing our chest towards our thighs, breathing into those side bodies. Big inhale. Exhale, lowering the knees, child's pose. And maybe find a little bit of a wiggle in this child's pose. Inhaling. And exhale. Nice, so we're gonna lift up into that kneeling position. Hands come behind the head as we start to open and close again. Breathing space into the upper back and shoulders. Next time you sit back, hold it here, really breathing into that heart center. And then as you exhale, gaze straight ahead. Step your left foot forward, coming into your runner's lunge, maybe with some props. And we'll start to move from that runner's to our pyramid-like pose, knowing that one side is usually quite a bit different than the other side, and we always have the opportunity to lower that back knee down if that feels better in the body today. Next time that we shift it forward, move your way into that funky chair or figure 4 chair. You may have a different place for the arms and the hands this time. Sitting back into that heel, so you're feeling all of that joy in the outer hip. That's really important. Take one more breath in. Exhale, step that foot back. We're coming into that reverse warrior, so we're like warrior 2 type legs as we reach that arm up and over. Inhale. Exhale, maybe go a little bit deeper in that forward leg. And then we'll bring the hands to heart center, lifting up that back heel as we move into our twisted crescent pose. Shoulders draw down as we gaze past the left. Inhale. Exhale, open up the arms, moving into that wilding on our inhale. So we'll come onto the ball of that foot, holding it here, maybe finding some movement. Inhale, we reach. Exhale, forearm side plank. So left forearm comes down, right arm will reach up. Big breath in. Exhale, lower that forearm. Walk it up into your dolphin pose, pushing your chest toward your thighs. Big breath in. Exhale, lower those knees. Find your child's pose or any resting position of choice for a moment. Just catching up with your breath if it started to become shallow. And then we're gonna make our way into our first down dog, which always sounds really funny after we've done dolphin pose. But you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, down dog, where have you been all my life? You're so much better. Look at this. Look at this amazing pose. Take a full breath in here. Exhale, soften the knees, gazing forward as we step or float to the front. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. And let's reverse swan dive all the way up, reaching it up and back. Exhale into our forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant as we step or float it back. We'll lower either to a hover or all the way down. Inhaling cobra or maybe up dog. And exhaling down dog. We'll take a few breaths here as we inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. Exhale, softening those knees. We gaze forward as we step or float. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, forward. Let's reverse, reaching it up and back. Exhale into our forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant as we step or float back. Lowering or hovering. Inhale. Exhale to our down dog. Couple breaths as we inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. Exhale, soften the knees, gazing forward as we step or float. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. One more of these, we'll reverse, reaching it up and back. Exhale into our forward fold. Inhale. Exhale, make your way to your down dog. Or any resting position of choice, because that concludes our warm-up. And if you're new to my practice, you know that that sounds crazy. But if you've been taking my class for a while, you know that the warm-up includes so many things from both of our main sequences. So I teach what I call the PB&J method, or peanut butter and jelly method, where we take 2 sequences, about 5 to 7-ish poses. We do them a little bit slower the first time, and then we repeat 2 times. That's peanut butter. We do the exact same thing for jelly. And then we bring them both together for one delicious, long peanut butter and jelly sequence sandwich. And it is my favorite part of the practice. And it's yours too, because that means it's the end. That might also be why it's my favorite, but I'll never tell. So let's start out in child's pose, which is always a favorite for peanut butter. As we make our way there, inhaling, I am my highest. Exhale, most authentic self. I am my highest, most authentic self. All right, we'll come into that kneeling position as we inhale, bringing the hands in the head. Exhale, we close. And then we inhale, opening, kind of lean back here. Exhale, we gaze straight ahead. Right foot steps forward, and we're coming into a bent leg warrior 3. So that right leg is the bent leg, and we make that left leg as straight as possible. Find any arm variation that you like as you flex through that left foot. Big breath in. Exhale, feet come together for chair pose. This is just a little bit of a transition pose. So we're not here long. As soon as that left foot lowers, we lift up the right leg and we come into that figure 4 like we did in the warm-up. And we can sit it back. If you like to add on here, feel free to do so. I'm not going to be doing that today. We'll take a big breath in. And then as we exhale, we step it back to goddess. So heels in, toes out, and hands will come back behind the head. We're going to lean in towards the right, like we're trying to touch that elbow and thigh together for 3, for 2, and 1. We stay there, bringing the hand down as we open it up into our half moon. So really flexing through that left foot, letting those toes face the side so that it's an open hipped pose. Big breath in. Exhale, left hand lowers. Left knee comes behind the right. So we're setting up for our seated twist. Twisting over towards the right. Shoulders are down as we lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, belly button to spine as we go deeper into our twist. Big breath in. Exhale. And then spin over the left shoulder as we come to child's pose. So that's what we've got for our peanut butter today. Inhale, lifting up. Hands come behind the head. Exhale, we close. Inhale, lift. Really sitting back into those hands. And then as we exhale, gaze straight ahead. Left foot steps forward for that bent leg warrior 3. So left leg is bent, right leg is as straight as you can make it. Any arm variation that you like. Big breath in. Exhale, feet come together, chair pose. Again, we're just here for that transition. So as soon as that right foot lowers, we think about lifting up this left leg and coming into that figure 4 chair. Inhale. Exhale, sit it back. Find that space. One more breath in. And then as we exhale, step it back. Goddess pose. So heels and toes out, hands come behind the head. And we bring that elbow towards the left thigh for 3, for 2. On 1, we hold it here, bringing those hands down as we move into our half moon. Opening up that hip towards the right side. Big breath in. Exhale, lower the right hand down. Right knee comes behind the left. And we come into our seated twist as we twist towards the left side. Big breath in. Exhale, maybe go a little bit deeper into your twist. And then we spin over that right shoulder, coming into child's pose, and we'll start to just pick up the pace a little bit. Inhale, lift to kneeling. Exhale, we close. Inhale, lift. Exhale, gaze straight ahead. Step it forward for that bent leg warrior 3 to our chair pose. And then right ankle above the knee as we come into that figure 4 shape. We step it back to goddess. Hands come behind the head. We lean it in for 3, 2, 1 to our half moon. Inhale. Exhale, left hand lowers. Left knee comes behind the right. And we twist to the right. We then spin over that left shoulder as we come into our child's pose. Inhale, we lift up, hands come behind the head. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, gaze straight ahead. Bent leg warrior 3 on our inhale. Exhale, coming into chair pose. Inhale, coming into that funky chair or figure 4 chair. Exhale, step it back to goddess. We lean in for 3, 2, 1. Inhaling half moon. Exhale, moving into that seated twist. And then we spin over the right shoulder, coming into our child's pose. Inhale to kneeling. Exhale. Inhale, right foot steps forward. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, figure 4 chair. Exhale, goddess. 3, 2, 1. Inhale, half moon. Exhale to our seated twist. Spinning over that left shoulder, making our way to our child's pose. Inhale to kneeling. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, warrior 3. Exhale, chair. Inhale, figure 4 chair. Exhale to goddess. We lean it in for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, half moon. Exhale, moving into our seated twist. And then we go over that right shoulder for our child's pose, which means that peanut butter's done. Awesome work. It's jelly time. So get a drink of water, towel off, whatever you need to do. Check in with your breath. The nice thing about bringing it up this way is we get little mini breaks in between, but it also gives us time to reaffirm our affirmation of I am my highest, most authentic self. I am my highest, most authentic self. Take a big breath in here. Exhale, let it go. And let's meet in down dog for jelly time. So as we come into our down dog, right leg will lift, opening up that hip. Can stay here, start to make some circles, going in one direction, going in the other direction. Inhale, straightens that leg. Exhale, knee draws the nose. Bring that foot all the way in between the hands. Back foot grounds down as we move right into our reverse warrior. Keeping that forward knee bent. Back leg is super strong and straight. Inhale. Exhale. And then hands come together, twisted crescent, just like our warm-up. So left elbow to the outside of that knee, gazing past the right shoulder. Full breath in. Exhale. We'll release those hands so that as we inhale, we come into our wild thing. And then exhale brings us to our forearm side plank. And then we bring that left forearm down. So we're in our forearm plank all the way to dolphin. So here's the thing. You can stay in dolphin. Dolphin sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It sucks. It's hard. It's great for building up strength. Arguably, you don't really need all that strength to get upside down. So if you want to play with headstand or forearm balance, I encourage you to do so. Or you can suffer in dolphin pose. I'm going to go through forearm balance today. If that doesn't work for you, that is totally cool. If you want to go to a wall and play, also cool. But for forearm balance, I like to bring my hands together like I'm clapping, creating this triangular shape, which is really important because a lot of times people's elbows start to splay out to the sides. So the more that you keep it in, the more balanced you're going to be when you're upside down. And we're working to get those hips over our shoulders. That's the main goal, is finding that stacking ability. So I will also say, if you play with headstand, please do not jump up. That is your head, that's your neck. That's much more important than an inversion ever will be. But we're not talking about those. So coming into forearm balance, have one leg lifted, keeping that straight. Bottom leg, keep that knee bent, and just play with trying to tap that leg. What's happening by doing that is the hips are coming up over the shoulders, and then maybe you can get some air time from there and think about pushing the floor away even more with those forearms. If that freaks you out, but you have a really confident headstand, I want to invite you to play with going from headstand to forearm balance, because that's how I learned how to do it. I'm going to mess up my hair doing this, but that's fine. So if we're coming into our headstand here, again, really confident headstand, then we start to separate and bring one hand down and then the other hand down, and then we lift up from there to find our forearm balance. That way you feel it without that feeling of having to kick up, because sometimes that's the thing that's more fearful than anything else. So just two things that are kind of food for thought. We're gonna start to move through our sequence again. So that is the end of jelly, by the way. So we'll make our way to down dog. And as we come in there, open up the left leg this time, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling. Stay or start to make some circles going in one direction, going in the other. And then we inhale, straightening that leg. Exhale, we'll bring it through, moving right into that reverse warrior, reaching that left arm up. Keep softening that knee as we take a big breath in. Exhale. Hands come to heart as we move into that twisted crescent, taking that elbow to the outside of the knee. Shoulders draw down. Big breath in. Exhale, release the arms so that we can inhale right into that wild thing. And then we exhale, forearm side plank to forearm plank. And we're back to our dolphin. One more opportunity to play if you want to play. So see what happens. You never know. And again, use the wall if that feels most comfortable. You want to make sure that you feel most comfortable. I'm going to teach this poorly because this doesn't work for me, but because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it doesn't work for somebody else. Another thing to try when you're coming into this is bringing one knee towards your chest and the other one towards your glutes, so you're kind of creating a little bit more equilibrium. I have no idea what this looks like when I've seen it. Usually not very pretty. But the idea is that instead of keeping your legs straight, you're giving yourself a little bit more of a teeter-totter space, if that makes sense. So play. Give yourself permission to play. We don't do that enough as adults. So who cares if you fall out of it? Then use the wall. If that makes you feel better, but give yourself an opportunity to play and see what happens. Because if you just decide you can't do something, you can't. That's just the way it is. We're gonna meet back in down dog, and we're just gonna move straight through now. It's no more playtime, although plenty of playtime if you want it. So down dog, we inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, moving into that twisted crescent. We inhale, opening it up to our wild thing. And then we exhale, moving into forearm side plank. We inhale all the way into our dolphin pose. And here's the thing. You want to just straighten those arms. You can go right to down dog, or you can lower the knees and make your way to down dog. So yogi's choice. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, twisted crescent. Inhale, moving into our wild thing. Exhale, forearm side plank. Inhale, dolphin. Exhale, making our way to down dog however you like. All right, right leg lifts. We'll bring it through. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, the twisted crescent. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, forearm side plank. Inhale, dolphin. Exhale to down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, twisted crescent. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, forearm side plank. Inhale, dolphin. Exhale, down dog, or any resting position of choice. We made it. It's peanut butter and jelly time. My favorite part of the practice. You did it. You made it all the way to the end. So be so proud of yourself already. And be so thankful that we start out in child's pose. So let's make our way there with enthusiasm, with all the confidence, with all the pep talks we need, because we are amazing. You're amazing. So let's make our way to that child's pose. I am my highest, most authentic self. I am my highest, most authentic self. Let's go. Kneeling as we inhale, opening up. Exhale. Inhale, and we step it forward, coming into that bent leg warrior 3. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, figure 4 chair. Exhale, coming into our goddess, and we lean in for 3, for 2, 1. Inhale, half moon. Exhale into our seated twist. And we spin over that left shoulder, and we make our way to down dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, twisted crescent. Inhale, moving into wild thing. Exhale, forearm side plank. Inhale, dolphin pose. Exhale, lower those knees for child's, which means the first side is done. Take a big breath in. Exhale. You got this. Inhale. Exhale, close. Inhale. Exhale, gaze straight ahead so that we inhale, warrior 3. Exhale, chair. Inhale, figure 4 chair. Exhale, step it back to goddess. We lean in for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, half moon. Exhale into our seated twist. We spin over that right shoulder, down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, we bring it through. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, twisted crescent. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, forearm side plank. Inhale, dolphin pose. Exhale, splat, however you like, you did it. Nice work. All right. Make your way to a seated position that's comfortable. When you're ready, if there's something you need to do beforehand, please do that. We'll close with some alternate nostril breathing before we make our way into our Shavasana. So we'll find those hang loose hands. Thumb will cover the right nostril as we inhale in through the left. Close the left, exhale through the right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. Inhale left. Close, exhale right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. And move through as many rounds as you like. But when you're done, just bring your hands onto your knees, breathing in and out through both nostrils, feeling that clarity from equalizing both hemispheres of the brain through this breathing technique. And we'll make our way into our final pose. So if you prefer a reclined position like we started in, feel free to do so. Maybe come into some final poses that your body's craving. Otherwise, make your way into that space. Maybe take up space on the mat, because I like to do that because our practice is a reflection of our lives off the mat. So the idea is that if we take up space here, we take up space once we go out into the world. And as you come into this final pose, have so much gratitude for showing up today, so much gratitude for all the hard work you just did, and so much gratitude for this feeling that you created through that. Be so proud of yourself. Know that I'm so proud of you. Allow your body just to be still and your breath to be soft. Shavasana. As always, stay in this pose as long as you need. But if you're ready, start to invite small movements like wiggling the fingertips and the toes, maybe finding a full body stretch. We'll eventually meet together in our seated position of choice, where we'll bring our hands together at our heart center, our Anjali Mudra. I am my highest, most authentic self. Take this feeling with you as you leave the mat, because that is when our true yoga begins. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Until next time, Namaste.